sister city is still really new, but you've had opportunities to co-develop to this date already. Some really cool projects. There were two that we had kind of chatted about before hopping on for our discussion today. I would love for you to just name those and kind of run through what those projects are all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the first of those projects was actually kind of my swan song at Gorilla, and it's called Rocket Empire Machine. And this is a really quirky adaptive reuse of a 2,500 square foot service station from the 1950s in a Northeast Portland neighborhood called Monte. And our vision for it was to kind of riff on, if you're familiar with these projects, the Ocean and the Zipper, which were these micro restaurant clusters. So the idea being you shrink the square footage, the basically the rental burden of a restaurant to its most bare bones, and then you share amenities outside of that. So you have you share a grease line, you have bathrooms that are communal, you have indoor and outdoor seating areas, so that you really clear the way for emerging restaurateurs to be able to kind of make the jump from a food cart into a brick and mortar space without
Mm-hmm.
necessarily compromising that communal element that makes places like food cart pods really appealing for families to go to, because there's lots of options. So this particular project has 5 retail spaces, and because we had done this twice before and learned each time, the focus of Rocket Empire Machine was to take a very deliberate and considered approach to entering a neighborhood where we hadn't been before. And in this neighborhood, it's one of the largest refugee resettlement areas in Portland and has an incredibly robust Somali American population, Burmese American population, and Mexican American population. And it was really part of the vision to not only get hipsters eating fried chicken at
Right.
another like cute
Like
restaurant.
let's be real.
Yeah, let's be real. How can we design and make this a place where, people in hijabs feel comfortable eating, and, they'll meet their neighbors here and they'll try different foods. And, you know, I wanted it to, at the risk of being kind of grandiose, it was like, what happens when a development becomes more of a melting pot? And so it became really important to try to figure out, okay, well, how do we make this a more attainable retail space? And so we kind of riffed on some ideas of internal subsidy, which I did in a project called Jolene's First Cousin prior, and some others. But generally, the idea is you use market rate units to offset an affordable unit within a larger development. And so at Rocket Empire Machine, we had one unit that was granted was called a non-displacement benefit, which essentially acknowledges that what our development is doing is gentrifying a neighborhood. Like, rents are going to go up for retail because this project is there. But in this unit, we will hold that kind of naturally occurring affordable rate for 3 years, because anecdotally we were hearing, if retail spaces can hold on for those first 3 years, that their gross revenue will rise to meet those of the kind of influx of businesses coming in.
Mm.
And so it just became about, how do we hold those folks in place? And so we found an incredible tenant named Kadro Abdi, who had a Somali restaurant just a couple blocks away, that her landlord had changed her locks overnight because Kadro had, missed a rental payment, and the landlord was not willing to work with her, and nor would that landlord allow her to go back in and get her restaurant equipment. It was like a devastating loss to the community to lose Cadro's
Hmm.
amazing food, which was beloved by all kinds of different people. And so Cadro became the recipient of that non-displacement benefit, and her restaurant is rent is offset slightly by a restaurant that is run by an emerging um, sorry there's like a really established beer brewery, and then there's the
Yeah.
second location of this beloved pie store called the Pie Spot. Um, and there was a new restaurateur from Burma who came in and opened a sushi restaurant. And finally, another legacy food cart called Tierra del Sol, which is a Mexican American run business. And so this has been running, we opened in June of 2020, which was an incredibly difficult time for
Wow.
anyone to
Yeah.
open a small food business. But super ingenuity, like people pivoted to go. The neighborhood has loved and supported these businesses, and everybody's doing great today, 3 years down the road. So Rocket Empire Machine was a really fun project, and I hope to get back to doing some mixed use stuff later.
Yeah. You're making me hungry too, by the way. I need to visit
That feels
Portland
so
and just
good.
go have a little taster plate of every spot in that development.